Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we are trying to set the right attitude to promote better mental health. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest if you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to set up today, heel toeing in, coming to stand in the middle of the mat and deciding beforehand where the top and where the back end of your mat is. You're going to find a nice tall, narrow mountain, squeezing the 2 feet together, squeezing the inner thighs together, and bringing your hands into a gentle prayer mudra in front of your heart. Let's begin playing with some breath work, Samasana lion breath. You're going to inhale through your nose, making almost no sound on the inhale. And on the exhale, you're going to make a soft HA sound as you drop your tongue towards your chin like this. You're going to do that a few times, eyes open or eyes closed. The choice is yours. Last time. Relax the arms at your side, keeping that nice tall stance, or you could elect to just place your hands gently on your hip creases. You're going to start to bring the right knee in towards your nose and then open it out to the side of the room and start to trace a big circular pattern with that knee, taking it out and back in towards the midline. If your balance is off, just try to keep your gaze on a soft focal point, maybe on the floor or the wall in front of you. Then the next time you hug your knee in, tuck it towards your chest and just hold. Maybe you're staying here nice and tall with your knee tucked in towards your chest, or maybe you're reaching for your foot with one or with both hands and you're tucking it gently into half a lotus line. Maybe just holding onto the foot and starting to make the knee heavy away from your body line. Looking for stillness, looking for control. Find the right attitude without getting frustrated with yourself. Then step the legs back into parallel, give them a little shake up. Let's do the same on side 2. Arms relaxed or placed on your hip creases as you begin to trace that big circular pattern with the knee out to the side of the room and back. You can tap your toe to the floor if your balance is slightly off, or you can keep the whole limb hovering as you trace that pattern. Then hug the knee in towards the chest, standing up nice and tall, or beginning to look for a half lotus line, Ardha Padmasana. And if you catch a speed wobble, don't stress about it. Just try to find your balance, try to find that control again without getting frustrated. Bring the legs back to your narrow mountain. Give them a little shake up. Let's come back to side 1, finding that half lotus line again, and then beginning to play with it. Find the half lotus line. Looking for that balance. And then maybe just give a soft bend into your support knee and bring your hands to a gentle prayer. If this feels good, you can start increasing the bend and thinking of coming into maybe half a chair, or maybe sitting all the way back, thinking Utkatasana chair, trying to hold either a half lotus or maybe a figure 4 position through the legs. Keep pressing gently into your palms and use your elbows, almost pressing them out to the side of the room to help with your balance. Find the right attitude. Take control. Then ease your way back into your narrow mountain, feet flush along the midline. Give them a little shake up. You might find that your stabilizing ankle and leg is speaking to you a little bit. Just give it a shake out. We're going to rinse and repeat on side 2. Set up your half lotus line when you're ready. Start to give a soft bend into the support knee, almost a little crease, and then bring your hands to prayer. Take a moment here. If this feels good, start to increase the bend on your support leg, maybe ending in a half chair, or maybe bringing your lower belly closer towards your half lotus foot. Condition that support leg. The ankle is going to start wobbling. Ease your way back to center. Give the legs a little shake up. And then fold forward, keeping your hands softly connected to your hips, or you can throw them back softly behind you. You're going to come into a tabletop forward fold. Still keeping the feet flush along the midline. Starting to stretch up the back chain of the legs, trying to keep your weight equal on the 4 quadrants of each foot. Then inhale to stand up nice and tall. Place your hands in your lower back to support and bring it into a gentle back bend, curving the spine slightly and taking your belly and your chest up towards the sky. Then ease your way back into a nice tall mountain, Tadasana, with your hands in prayer mudra in front of your heart. From this position, you're going to step one leg to the front edge of your mat, and you're going to find your way into a warrior 1 position. So maybe step up, and maybe if you're on the tall side, you're going to have to wiggle that back foot back slightly to find your warrior 1 stance. Angle in that back foot to 45, but rotate your trunk so that you're looking towards the top end of the mat. Wiggle the feet around, find a nice strong warrior stance, and pause. Check that you're not leaning into the warrior. So thinking weight bearing and trunk coming down evenly through the pelvis towards the floor. Stay here or find a modified warrior 3, keeping your hands in prayer mudra in front of your heart. You're going to transfer the weight from the back leg to the front leg, and you can use a little stutter on the back foot if you need to. Try to keep nice and squared through the shoulders and the hips. So you're trying not to pop and rotate on that back hip. Then ease your way back into your warrior 1 line. Looking for that strength, looking for that control. Relax the arms at your side. Think of heel toeing your feet in, coming back to the midline of your mat. So the outside foot is going to do more heel toeing than your control leg. Find your way back into your tabletop fold. Hands maybe just holding onto your hips or softly floating behind. Long tabletop line, so you're thinking spine, neck, nice and one long line. Stopping at about hip height, so you're not coming through the tabletop line. Then support your lower back as you bring it into a standing back bend. Curving the spine and looking up towards the sky. Keep squeezing the energy between the legs together. Then find your way into a nice, tall, narrow mountain, Tadasana, hands to heart center. Let's repeat to side 2. Find your step-up position towards the back end of the mat. Readjust your back leg, angling it in at 45 and twisting your trunk so that you're looking towards the back end of your mat. Look for strength, look for control. Make sure you've got enough space for both legs on your mat. Holding Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. When you're ready, morph into your Warrior 3, transferring the weight from the back to the front leg. Use your big toe on the mat behind you if you need to. Float up into your tabletop frame, keeping the prayer position, and hands stay actively pressing into each other. Feel your arms, feel your chest, feel your shoulders and your upper back. Ease your way back into your Warrior 1 line. Look for strength, look for control. Then start to pivot. Begin to heel toe the feet in, finding your way back to the middle. Squeeze the two legs together as you fold forward into your tabletop line. Pretend somebody's grabbing hold of your crown and try to give me as much length through the spine as you can. Then support your lower back as you come into the standing back bend. Awesome stretch through the lower belly, through the chest center, into the shoulders. Then stand up nice and tall in your narrow mountain, Tadasana. Breathe. We're going to find our way back into that first warrior one leg line, and then we'll play with it. This time, just relaxing the arms at your side as you step into that warrior one like frame. Straighten up both legs and start to slide the lead arm down to the inseam of the lead leg, setting up an open triangle, Uttita Trikonasana. Maybe you stand here with the hand pressing just on the inseam of the leg, or maybe you're working lower to the floor, maybe fingertips or even hand on the floor. Try to give me a nice open frame through the body. Trying to forge an almost T-like frame from the top arm to the bottom arm. Then look for more stretch through the top of your rib cage by bringing the top arm closer towards your ear, coming into an extended triangle and reaching long through those fingertips. Feel the stretch from your back hip through the line of the arm. Then begin to rotate through the trunk, but place your fingertips on the floor or on the inseam of your lead leg today as you rotate your triangle. So we're not hooking to the outside, we stand on the inside today of that lead leg. As you rotate your triangle, then begin to think of untwisting your trunk, placing both hands on the floor if you can, and rotate through the back foot, finding your way into a pyramid line with all 10 toes looking towards the front end of the mat. Either fingertips or palms on the floor, or maybe you've got a block on the inside of your legs that you're leaning into, or maybe you're placing your hands on your hip creases, or even the lead shin. Find the expression of pyramid Padottanasana that works for you. Trying to ground as best you can through both feet. That back heel is going to keep wanting to peel up off the floor. Try to reground it as best you can. Look for stability, look for control within the movement. Then re-anchor your back foot at a 45-degree angle. Find your way back into your open triangle. Then stand up nice and tall and begin to find your way back to the middle of the mat. Obviously, the outer foot is going to be working harder than the back foot. Find your way back into your fold. A nice long line through the neck and the spine. Belly button gently pulled into center so it doesn't feel like your tummy is hanging on the mat. Then support your lower back as you come into the standing back bend. Bump the hips forward over the knees. Relish the stretch. Hands to heart center as you find your way back into a nice tall mountain, Tadasana. Look for stillness, look for control, look for length. Then relax the arms at your side and set up your triangle on side 2. Angling in that back foot slightly at 45, straightening out both legs, and then just beginning to hinge forward and starting to brush your lead arm down on the inseam of the lead leg. Open up the arms, forging a soft T-like frame, and try to open up that top hip. Maybe beginning to extend your triangle line, bringing that top arm closer towards your ear, looking for more stretch through that side of the ribs that's looking up towards the ceiling. Then begin to rotate through the trunk, but place your fingertips on the inside of the lead leg as you rotate in the opposite direction to find Arivutta Trikonasana, rotated triangle. Then try to find your way from your rotated triangle into a pyramid line. by starting to untwist through the trunk, placing both hands either side the lead leg, readjusting your back foot and turning it in so that all 10 toes are looking to the front of your mat. And if you need to, take a narrower stance and see if that helps you to ground both feet into the mat. Try to have both legs long and extended and think of actively drawing up the energy from the kneecap along the quad of both legs towards your pubic line. Then re-angle the back foot at 45. Find your way back into your open triangle. Pause, taking an awesome stretch here. Then bleed your trunk all the way up, arms relaxing at your side as you begin to heel toe the feet back in towards your midline. Squeezing the energy between the legs together as you fold forward into your tabletop bow, nice and long through the crown. Ease your way from here back into the standing back bend. Bump those hips forward. Look for that awesome stretch through the top of the thighs into the lower belly and the chest. Then stand up nice and tall in your narrow mountain, hands to heart center, elbows active, hands pressing. We're going to ease our way from here into a warrior two line on side one. Maybe stepping wide to the front of your mat. Wiggling the back foot back, angling it in at 90 this time, and then opening up the arms into a beautiful T-frame. Reach for the wall in front, reach for the wall behind you, and try to keep your weight centered through the trunk. Breathe. Look for strength within Virabhadrasana 2. Then let's reverse the warrior, invert your front hand, drop your back hand to your back leg, and just give me a soft wrap around. Curving slightly through the spine, looking up, maybe towards the palm of that hand that's overhead. That's your drishti, your focal point. Ease your way back into your original warrior two line. Reach for the wall in front, reach for the wall behind, arms in a beautiful T-like frame. Then begin to relax the arms at your side and heel toe your way back towards the midline of the mat. Squeezing the energy between the two legs together and then folding forward into your tabletop bow. Long through the spine, belly button pulled into center. Find your way into a standing back bend, supporting that lower back as you bump the hips forward. Opening beautifully through your chest and your throat center. Then finding your way back into mountain Tadasana. Squeezing the energy between the legs together, pressing the energy between the hands together. Let's find our warrior two on the second side. Taking a big step towards the top end of the mat, beginning to wiggle the back foot, walk it away from you, angle in that back foot at 90, reach for the wall in front, reach for the wall behind, trying to find a sense of evenness through both arms. Breathe. Long and strong within your powerful warrior frame. Then invert the front hand, drop your back hand to your back leg, think soft wrap around, look up towards that palm, and breathe nice and deeply into the front of your ribs. Ease your way back into your warrior two, tap the wall in front, tap the wall behind. You are in control. Relax the arms at your side and heel toe your way back to the middle. Once your feet are flush along the midline, squeeze the energy active between the legs. Start to fold forward into your tabletop stretch. Weight bearing equal on all four quadrants of your feet, so you're cognizant of the feet the whole time. Ease your way into a supported back bend. Breathe. Long inhale, long exhale. Then find your way into an active mountain, squeezing the energy between the legs, squeezing the energy between the hands. take warrior two on side one, but we're going to morph it into a side angle. So when you're ready, take your step out to the top end of your mat. Start to walk that back leg out, set up your warrior two line, and then start to bend the lead elbow and just set up your side angle. Without leaning aggressively into the thigh, try to hold the weight in your core. Maybe bringing the top arm up to the sky. Maybe beginning to float your bottom arm down, trying to anchor it on the floor, and you could use a block underneath that arm. If the body is open and receptive, you can maybe tuck that bottom arm between the two thighs, maybe bringing both hands behind your back and finding your way into a bound version of the side angle. Try to drop those hips nice and low to the floor. Stay here, or maybe you're feeling like bird of paradise. You're going to start to heel toe the back leg in, and you're going to keep walking it until it stacks underneath the back hip. Then begin to transfer the weight from the front leg to the back leg. Pause. Find your balance first. See if you can find a lift off the floor. Taking your time to find your balance and just check in. And then maybe extending that leg as you find your bird of paradise frame. Wherever you decided to play on the mat, you're going to find your way back to the middle. Find your narrow stance, arms pressing along your sides as you fold back forward into your tabletop stretch. Long through the crown, nice awesome stretch happening along the back chain at the legs. Find your way into a supported back bend. And then a beautiful, active, working narrow mountain, legs pressing, hands pressing. Let's find that side angle on the second side. Maybe just relaxing the arms at your side, stepping the legs and readjusting them into your warrior two-like line. Starting to bend the lead elbow, but holding the weight in your core, not leaning everything into that thigh. Maybe bringing the top arm towards the sky. If this feels good, start to brush your hand down the chain of the leg, making the floor your aim. Try to drop down a little bit lower through the pelvis. See if the bind is maybe happening for you today. And if the bind is not happening, don't get frustrated. Just let it go. Maybe you could use a belt or a strap, and maybe that'll help you to make the connection behind your back. Then let's begin to walk that back foot in. If you're feeling like playing, stop when the foot stacks underneath your hip. Transfer the weight from the back leg to the front leg. Look for balance, look for control. Don't try to peel up too quickly. Just look for that balance first. Then maybe extending the leg. And then finding your way back to the middle of the mat. Hands sandwiched along your side as you fold forward once more into your tabletop stretch. Find your way into a supported back bend. Open up your chest center, your Anahata chakra. Open up your throat center, your Vishuddhi chakra. Lead your way into a nice tall mountain, legs squeezing, palms squeezing. Breathe beautifully. Nice big inhale through the chest. And then as you exhale, feel the ribs squeezing into center. Then place your hands gently on your hip creases. Look down towards your feet and begin to heel toe out, stopping in a horse line. So your feet are spread just a little bit wider than your hip, and you're going to start to bend through the knees. You're going to begin in a neutral spine. Then tilt your pelvis to 12 o'clock, bringing your pubis in towards your belly button line. Pause, hold that slightly curved frame through the lower belly, and then tilt back into neutral. You're going to do that a few times, playing with that 12 o'clock tilt and pause, keeping your knees bent And if you look down towards your leg line, your knees should not be tracking further than the big toe and the the first two toes, so your big toe and its partner. Keep playing with that soft tilting motion through the pelvis. You're going to end in a tilt and hold for a slow count of 10, keeping your horse line through the legs. So you are going to feel a slight burn into the inner thighs, into the legs. And then you're going to think about how you're going to use this frame to find your way into a deep squat line. You might need to readjust the legs, taking them wider or narrower as you start to float down. And you can bring the heels off the floor as you find your way down to the mat, maybe placing your fingers on the mat, and then wiggling around, re-stepping through the feet until you're in the squat line that works for you. Ground your feet if you can, and then begin to play with the feet, bringing your heels off the floor and re-grounding a few times. Maybe you're keeping your hands on the floor, or maybe the balance is good and you can float and reach the arms out in front as you bring the heels on and off the mat. You're going to feel a nice little burn begin to happen into the groin area, into the legs. Maybe end grounded. Place your fingertips on the mat behind you. Take a seat and then find your way into a seated modified squat. So you're sitting on the bum, feet are softly splayed out. You're going to bring your hands to active prayer in front of your heart, and you're going to push with your elbow points against the inseam of your leg. You're going to squeeze in slightly with the knees. Hold. Then maybe placing both hands, using them as a splint and pushing off the legs. Maybe your hands are reaching the floor, maybe they're floating off the floor. Then ease your way from here into a butterfly line, maybe wrapping around your ankles as you bring the 2 feet together. Actively use your elbow points and then lean forward as if you were trying to hook your chin over the edge of your mat. Try to look for a nice little stretch through the line of your spine. So think lower back, beginning to straighten and lengthen all the way towards your shoulder line. Then maybe trying to cross one wrist over the other as you begin to extend the legs in front, maybe holding on to the undercarriage of your feet if you can, or using a belt or a strap or a hand towel, or just relaxing your crossed hands to your calves or maybe your thighs as you fold forward. Pause here, taking a few moments, maybe actively allowing your elbows to begin to float out to the side of the room so that you can increase the stretch as you play with a modified Paschimottanasana. Then try to hold that cross wrist line as you peel up, holding onto the undercarriage of your right foot only, and tuck the right knee in towards your armpit, coming into a seated modification of a half a happy baby. Stay here, thinking knee to armpit, or begin to extend the leg, coming into a modified heron pose, trying to keep your seat as tall as you can. So be cognizant of what you're doing with your body weight. Try not to throw it backwards behind your hip line. Try to have your hips softly stacked, or the shoulders softly stacked over your hips. That makes better sense. Come back into your half a happy baby, bending the knee and tucking it into your armpit. And then maybe finding your way into a really gentle Hindulasana. Rock the baby, hold on to the foot, hold on to the knee, and just start to rock your limbs side to side. If this feels good, maybe you can take the foot and insert it into the crook of the opposite arm, making either a gentle basket holding onto your knee and your shin, or maybe you're weaving an actual basket with your hands and you're beginning to rock your baby. Hugging that whole lower limb in towards your chest. So you're thinking calf and shin coming closer towards your chest line if you can. Then take the foot, drape it softly over your extended leg and fold forward. Maybe you're just doing fingertips to floor. Maybe you're hugging the knee in towards your chest. Maybe you're reaching with one hand or with both hands for the undercarriage of the foot of your extended leg, and you're softly folding forward into a modification of Gomukhasana, cow face. Just hold here, taking a few deep breaths here. Breathe nice and deeply into the whole back of your ribs. Then sit up nice and tall. Step the legs wide into a soft V-like frame. Come back into your seated deep squat, Alasana. Bring your hands to prayer in front of your heart, actively using your elbow points to open up through the knees. Keep the feet softly splayed out. Keep your belly button pulled into center. Look for length. Then maybe begin to lengthen through the arms. Use them as a splint and push, whether your hands are floating or whether they've managed to ground to the mat. Wrapping softly around your ankles, you're going to bleed your way into a butterfly line. Bringing the soles of the feet together, actively using your elbow points, and then leaning forward, try to hook your chin over the edge of your mat. Start to look for length through the line of the spine. Then begin to extend both legs, maybe crossing at the wrist, maybe opposite hand on top this time. Try to fold forward into Paschimottanasana, either binding around the feet or holding up higher along the chain of the legs, but keeping the arms crossed, one in front of the other. Breathe nice and deeply into the back and the sides of your ribs. Take a few generous breaths here, maybe even closing your eyes and taking your focus inward. Then try to keep the crossed wrist position as you begin to bend the left leg, holding around the undercarriage of your foot if you can, as you bring the knee in towards your armpit. Stay here in your half a happy baby, or begin to extend that limb and look for a nice stretch up the back chain of leg 2. Try to keep that nice tall seat, so try not to lean off the center line. Ease your way back into your seated half a happy baby by bending the knee and tucking it in towards your armpit. When you're ready, find your way into rock the baby, maybe holding onto your foot and your knee and just rocking the limb side to side. If the body's willing, maybe you can take that knee, the foot, and insert it into the crook of the opposite arm. Weave a basket for your baby. Maybe give her a little rock. Maybe squeeze the whole thigh in towards your chest. Then step the foot over your extended leg, draping the foot to the floor, maybe knife edging the foot softly, beginning to lean forward, maybe fingertips to floor, maybe hug the knee in towards your chest. Maybe reach with one hand, reach with two hands for your foot, hugging into center. Take a moment here as you find the expression of Gomukhasana that works for you. Then bleed your way from here into a Sukhasana seat, a cross-legged seated position. You can lead with whichever leg in front you're comfortable with. Relax the hands to the top of your thighs, maybe palms down, or maybe you'd like to come to more of an active mudra, maybe bringing the middle finger and your thumb together, palms looking up to the sky. We're going to play with Satali, cooling breath. You're going to inhale through the mouth, exhale through the nose, keeping your seat nice and tall the whole time. As you inhale, you're going to shoot the tongue out, curling the tongue to make a little straw like this. You're going to suck or slurp the air in through your straw. Close your mouth and exhale through your nose. Rinse and repeat, finding a rhythm of your own. Give yourself anywhere between 5 to 10 rounds of this beautiful cooling Sitali breath. Inhaling through the mouth. Exhaling through the nose. Start to just feel that beautiful calming sensation wash over your body. While you're taking your last few rounds of Sitali breath, decide how you'd like to end off your practice for today's class. That could either be seated as you are, or you could make your way down onto the back to Shavasana. Make this your last Sitali breath. If you've decided to stay seated, change the cross of your legs, leading with the opposite leg in front. If you'd like to make your way down onto the back, do so now. Just find a nice tall seat. If you are seated, relax the hands, palms down, and nod your chin slightly towards your chest. Close your eyes, take your focus inward. If you're lying on the back, arms relaxed at your side. Nod your chin softly down, close your eyes, take your focus inward. Start to visualize the following scene. See yourself as a seasoned painter standing in front of a blank white canvas. Begin painting that canvas with colors that speak to you, colors that make you smile, colors that make you warm and fuzzy inside. See the swirls of color begin to form shapes. Shapes that morph into happy images. Images that begin to paint a picture of pure joy. Remember, it is your mental attitude, not your circumstances, that determine your happiness. With that thought, let's end off today's practice by gently bringing the hands together in front of your heart. Keep your elbows soft and just form a gentle press between the two hands. Thank yourself for making time to play and to connect with your body and your breath, setting your attitude for the remainder of your day, the remainder of your week, the remainder of your year. Namaste to you. Thank you so much for coming out and joining me today. I do hope that you enjoyed today's class. Till next time, keep it light.